Hi guys, how are you?
Doing
Good, how
great.
are you?
Yeah.
Doing great. So to start, I said nothing is more terrifying than watching a movie or seeing a trailer that starts with based on a true story before it's like
Mm.
and a horror story. Um, and so for you guys, when you're first reading the script and you're getting involved with this project, what for you was the biggest challenge of like honoring the genre and making a horror movie while still making sure you were being respectful to the actual history and the victims that this kind of happened to?
I feel like it was kind of hard, but like I said, my biggest thing was really connecting with Warren, because he made this film and obviously he wanted it done a certain way, and I wanted to make sure that I was portraying Patty correctly. So being able to collaborate with him and really get in tune with the character was very helpful, and also doing my research, and just really focusing on, okay, this is a time period piece, and of course being respectful to the story as well.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
for you?
For me, it was super interesting because, it was super cool to live in this time. My mom was working with me, so she was telling me all this stuff, like how stuff would work back then, which I thought was super cool. And yeah, I mean, it was just super interesting and cool to be a part of. And it was kind of crazy because I've never done a role where they don't focus on the character and it mostly focused on the victims. And I thought that was super interesting because, I feel like all these scary movies always highlight the enemy and or not enemy, but like, uh, I thought it was just cool, interesting way to.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I also think I said this to Warren, not thinking about it, that I made the joke. I was like, what is it always about white vans? And he pointed out that this is why we all have that fear of white vans is
Yeah.
because of the story. But that is something that's just ingrained in society, especially in America, where like don't go near a white van. It's just dangerous. For you guys, how do you shut that part of your brain off when you're in something where this is quote unquote the origin story of the white van lore, but like they didn't have the fear of white vans in the way that we do now because we know what happened.
Yeah, it was kind of tricky because again, like being on set, seeing this white man, it's like, oh my God, how creepy. But again, I had to kind of take that away and focus on what it would have been for Patty in the 70s. So I feel like at first it wasn't something that was suspicious, and then later in the film it is, and then it turned into what it is now. So it definitely was a little bit difficult because I was a little bit creeped out, but I think we all did a really good job portraying it correctly.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like back then it was totally different, and it's a small, like area they lived in. So I feel like seeing crimes there was so unusual. I mean that's just a guess, but I also feel like white vans are scary because of this, like because of this story, and that's why everyone's so scared of them. And actually, I'm not even kidding, a white van just passed. It was kind of crazy while you were
Heard.
talking.
They heard. They all know the white vans have a network. They're
Mhm.
times
Yeah, I know.
for Alaska question. I love when period pieces have younger cast because it's like that means there's so much more research that has to go in because the majority of the cast was not alive. They can't really rely on each other. For you guys, what was your favorite thing that you learned about the 70s while researching these roles?
I would say for me, I mean, my mom was born in the 70s. So even before doing this role, I heard a lot about the 70s. And I was also a fan of the 70s when it came to the wardrobe and the hair and just how like free everyone was. So I will say the one thing I did learn is about the telephones on how to actually call someone. I didn't know how to do that. And being on a landline, I'm like, I could never, don't know how you guys did that. I would rather just not even have a phone. So Warren had Warren definitely had to show me like a couple times because I just could not understand how to do it. But now I know.
Rotary phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for me, I was working with my mom, so she would always point out things from when she was a kid, and she said that a landline was a big thing when she was younger. I mean, that was a super like no one had like it was really big deal to have that. Um, and working on set, you could see all these old things like the TVs are kind of crazy, and yeah, as she was saying, the phones, it looks kind of complicated. Now you just press a couple buttons and you're done, Yeah.
As the end of the rotary phone era, because I was born in the 90s, I'm glad to know that it's hard still.
Yeah.
Yes.
But thank you guys so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait for everyone to get to see the movie.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So much. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you guys.